Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, and thanks for being here with me in this video. And it's Vicky Marie with a coffee today. And actually, this is not my mug. My mug's in the washing up. This is my doggy mug, Wagmore Bark Less, which my dogs would do. Anyway, they do wag as well. They don't only bark, they wag. So I just wanted to say to start with, because I don't think I have yet in this series of videos, say thank you. Very important to say thank you, isn't it? Thank you for everything positive we have in our lives. And I want to thank you, all of you that are subscribed, that ever watch my videos, that comment on my videos, like my videos, share my videos. Even those of you who put negative comments, as long as they're not disrespectful, that's fine. And yeah, thank you. And a special thanks to my members. Got members live coming up on Thursday. Every Thursday is a members live stream. We talk about all sorts of things, and we have a bit of fun as well. And I want to thank everybody who's either bought any of my merchandise, bought me a coffee, sent me a super, or sent me an email, or supported my channel in any way. Thank you so much, because I could not do this without you. So thank you. Okay, so let's get on now. This, of course, is the question and answer session that I'm just going through, because it has now disappeared off its original channel. And a lot of people didn't even get to see it, or they were halfway through watching it when it disappeared. People have written to me and said that. So I did record it. I'm critiquing it. I've been waiting to see if it goes back up. If it would have gone back up, I wouldn't have done this, but it hasn't. So it's important. It's important to, if you've got any interest in the Nicola Bully case, then of course this question and answer session was very important. Because Peter Faulding made his assertion that in fact he had found Nicola in the river, and everyone had a lot of questions, and 50 questions were sent to the other channel's host, and were asked to Peter this evening, but not this evening, this particular evening that he did the question and answer session. And yeah, the video didn't stay up very long, and then it was gone. So we're going to look at it. I'm going to make comments here and there, as I always say at the beginning of, there may be two more, because I don't mean two more apart from this. There'll be this one, obviously, and I think there'll definitely be another one, because it's quite a long interview. And then with my comments, etc., you know, we're on to part 4 now, I think. Yeah, so I think there will be a part 5. I was hoping to do it in 3. But it's just my time as well. I can't do it. I didn't want to do it like, you know, just all in one thing, because that goes on so long and people get bored and they don't listen to what's actually being said, or they get fed up of watching. So I thought if I cut it into more bite-sized chunks, but even cutting it into bite-sized chunks, it's a lot with my commentary and with the actual interview itself. It's going to wind up, I think, being 5. I can't believe, I don't think I'll get it all done in this particular episode. The other thing is, of course, you know, I do have another life. I do work. I am a Spanish teacher, so I have got classes. So I like to try and get the video done. I was a bit annoyed yesterday, the video that I did, part 3, I had to cut off really suddenly, because suddenly it was time for a class, and I just couldn't. I didn't even really have time to say goodbye or anything. I tried to do the video as long as possible, up to the last possible point. So the same today. So I've got a little bit of time this morning, an hour and a half or so. So see what we can get through in that time, and then the rest of it. Tomorrow's Wednesday, isn't it? So the rest of it I'll try and finish off tomorrow. I only didn't have to work to earn money. I know people think I'm some sort of, some nasty people think I'm some sort of YouTube millionaire or whatever, if only. So yeah, you know, I love doing YouTube, but yeah, it doesn't afford you enough money to live. But not me anyway, because I'm not, I'm only a tiny channel. But it's good. It's nice to get paid something from the YouTube that for doing something that I like. It's not me, that's very important with work, isn't it? I've been very, very lucky with both the things I do to bring money in to earn a living, which most of us have to do. I enjoy the YouTube. I enjoy the Spanish classes, and I thank God every day that I have work, and it's work that I enjoy. Okay, so let's have a look. So it was stopped exactly after. One thing I've noticed when I do rarely watch myself back is I've got to stop saying so. But anyway, there you go. We all have our little things that we say. I nearly said it again. Then I'm bound to say it. So we'd got to this part. And we're going to start from there. Let's see what Mr. Faulding has to say.
And my wife said to me, Peter, you should go and offer your help because you'll find him. And I said, we can't just barge your way in. So we rang the force and said, can we help? And he said, yes, great. So we got halfway there and I got a phone call from the search advisor saying, turn around, go back. We don't want you here. And I thought, oh.
This is not Nicola he's talking about. This is somebody else. So that he did find, and the family are very grateful.
I said, really? Well, sorry, I'm not having that. I'm just going to carry on. So we spoke to the family as well, and they told them they were coming. So he said, you meet me outside. I want to see your superintendent. This was a PC search advisor. And I said, he said, you meet me in a car park outside town in Abingdon. So I did. And he said, right, all turn around, go home. And I said, no, we're not doing that. He said, I can't have amateurs diving. I said, amateurs? I said, you know we are. And he said, I'm an ex-police diver. And he said, people like you took my job. I said, no. Your dive unit was closed. We don't even do your diving for you. And he said, well, you're not going to be diving.
Well, this is illuminating, isn't it? So is there some sort of, this is what I was saying before in one of the other videos. It's like there's something deep-seated between the police and Peter. And is that telling what that guy said? He was a police diver. Peter took his job, he said. So, of course, that's not true. Peter didn't take his job. What will have happened is whatever police force he works for, we were talking about this in another video as well. The resources were cut and the diving teams, the decision to cancel the diving teams will have been the crime commissioner of that particular area, won't it? They decide where the money goes, I believe. But I'm just wondering if this is the deep-seated reason for the police's resentment towards Peter, because, they're telling him to go home. He's saying, no, I'm not going home. It makes you wonder where all this started, all this animosity between them.
And I said, well, I'm going to go down and see the family. He said, you go down there, I'll arrest you. I'll have you arrested. So I just told him to go forth and multiply. I had a suit and tie on at the time. My team were there on all the vans. And I drove down to the scene. And
do you see what I'm saying? So there's obviously some bad blood anyway between Peter and the police. Maybe not years ago, but I think perhaps in recent times, there's been this resentment. And so this case of Nicola was just brought it to a head.
As I walked towards the gate where the family were down by the river, police officer put his arm out. He said, you go any further, Mr. Faulding, I'll arrest you. I said, well, please do. Why can't I go in? He said, it's a crime scene. And again, exactly the same again. Show me a crime scene log, officer. And I said, you haven't got one, have you? He said, no. I said, do yourself a favour, just step aside or you're going to be in big trouble. And he said, I really apologise. I was just giving orders. And he was fine. He shook my hand and I walked in. And I went down to the river that night.
That won't have gone down well with the senior officers, will it? I'm not taking sides. I'm just saying, probably Peter was probably right to do that in a way, but in another way, what happened? What happened to ruin their relationship? Peter obviously has had a good relationship at one point. So this has answered a question that I had: was he just having bad blood with Lancashire police? Doesn't seem like that, does it? It seems like other police forces. Maybe, as I say, this resentment may be there.
The police still wouldn't let us dive. He got turned to a critical incident about 8 o'clock that night. The family surrounded the car in a friendly way, not in threatening. They said Darren was pleading, crying that my son's in the river, let these guys dive. We did, and we recovered him 40 minutes later. He'd been missed. He'd been totally missed. They couldn't find him. And it's exactly the same story again when the same with Damien Tudge. The river was searched 12 times. They couldn't find him. We found him in 10 minutes. But I want to make it very clear. We then went on to become the official dive team for Thames Valley. So mistakes were made. It wasn't Thames Valley Police who messed up. It was a couple of people who had ego problems, who didn't like us because it's ex-divers. And we
So he's just saying it's not Thames Valley Police's fault. It was just those couple of individuals within Thames Valley Police. It's very interesting, this, because he found, the poor guy. He found him, and he said he'd been missed. So he's trying to liken it to the Nicola Bully thing, but I don't think it's the same, because he found him there, but this time he didn't. Nicola was not found in the sense of actually brought up to the surface on that day. So we can't, until we see the sonar images or the sent to an expert, I can't accept that Nicola was there. You need to see proof, and I don't like the actions that Peter's done since. But this is interesting, so we can see where the bad blood comes from. But he's saying it's a couple of ego problems within the Thames Valley Police, not the Thames Valley Police in general. And now he's got a good relationship with the Thames Valley Police. So there's obviously sort of history here of some animosity, some bad blood, for whatever reason.
We are not liked by a lot of the police dive community. They don't want us because we're a private company. We do a good job. So they've tried to keep us out of the game for a long time. And I get bad-mouthed quite a lot by people within that community. Not all of them, but there's a few. And the thing is, what they don't realise, I'm older than them. They haven't been around long enough to sort of talk me experience, and we have better equipment, and they don't like it. So that's it. It's an ego.
Well, I've said from the beginning, this is a battle of egos. I said that right from the beginning. It just makes me so angry, not only with Peter, but with all of them. It's all about their ego. What about Nikki? And if that was your member of your family, you would want anyone to go in there. You'd get Jacques Cousteau down there if you could, because you just want your family member found, and you don't want to get involved in the egos. You don't care about their egos. You just care about, where is your loved one? So it's interesting, this from Peter. He's actually saying it's ego. So where is it going to go then? Where is it going to go? And what's going to happen in the end? We have to wait. As since this Nicola Bully case even started, we've been waiting, haven't we? Always. It was wait for the inquest. Well, there was first of all the wait for her to be found. Then there was the wait for the inquest. Wait for the supposedly independent review. Initially, it was wait for the first investigation that was done into the domestic, the welfare check incident. It's just, wait for this, wait for that. Why? Why are you always having to wait? And this again is what irritates me with Peter about waiting for the sonar images. And he's, why has he not had them verified before now? We shouldn't be waiting for them. He's had months. He's had months to have them verified, and instead he's shown them to quite a lot of people, but we still haven't had them verified properly.
problem. I want to make that very clear. It's not about police officers in general. This is about the 2% of idiots who are just there to try and they don't want you around. That's what happened with Ellis Downs case, sadly. But then we went on, and the same with Damien Tudge. He just couldn't be found, and they brought me in to research, and I put a search strategy together, and I found him within 10 minutes in the river in his car. Still, after 18 months, we recovered him. So lots of these cases where evidence we've come in and found, like the Lanharan mine shaft, 750 feet down in a flooded mine, I found a shotgun cartridge. It could never be found. So it's all things like this, you know, and so we got vast experience in this field, and there's people in there who don't like what we do.
Yeah, so that was it. I'm going to look into those cases. So we've got Elliot Downs, and I think he said Richard Tudge. You know, must look into those to see. You know, I know Peter has looked for other people, and sometimes he hasn't found people. Liam Graham recently didn't find him in the river, and he somehow turned up in the Netherlands, but we don't really know the full story of that yet. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Do. And you'll see the trolls, you know, trolling, as you know, the trolls will go, this guy's talking rubbish. Well, if you've got a problem, come and tell me, you know where my office is, come and tell me to my face, rather than be spineless and do it with a blank face. Because I'm sure my team of ex-military guys would love to meet you.
Yeah, that's like a bit of a veiled threat again, isn't it, from him? And he's saying, no, tell me to her face, but then he blocks you on his social media before you've even said anything. So I certainly won't be trying to approach him and then get jumped on by a load of people. You know, I'm just playing back his words. In my eyes, that's not trolling. If other people think it's trolling, that's up to them. But he made the question and answer session. These are his words, and he has to stand by them. But that was a bit of a, you know, it's saying, oh yeah, come and tell me to my face, come to my office. I've got a couple of military guys who are waiting to meet you. Oh yeah, Peter, I'll be there tomorrow.
Bad man, Peter.
Yeah, no, not that. It's not a threat. It's basically if you've got a problem, come and tell us to our face. Don't do it behind a keyboard. It's only cowards do that.
Yeah, trolls make me stronger.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Trolls make me stronger. So I want to make that clear. Trolls make me a lot stronger, not weaker. I just want to say thank you to Hezibar.
Do you know what?
He's getting a whiskey now. Now, I'm not dishing him for that. I mean, I don't blame him. Get a whiskey, but it does make him even more. You know, Peter's quite talkative at the best of times. And after he's had a few whiskies, he does get more talkative. So it probably wasn't a good idea. I mean, the thing is, you know, is he trying to put himself out there professionally, or is he trying to put himself out there as the guy up the road who likes a whiskey and water? So, you know, if he wants to do, you know, that's fair enough, do it. But then don't be surprised when people notice it. People, you know, I do it. I've had a wine on stream or whatever, and some people make a thing of it, you know, like complain about it. Other people are happy to have a drink with me or whatever. You know, you can't please everybody. So you just have, you know, I don't care if I want to have a drink, I'll have a drink. But, and the same for Peter. But then you can't, he's supposed to be, I don't know. Well, you'll let me know what you think about it. To me, I quite like that he had a whiskey because it made him seem more human, and he started smiling more, but he did get a bit loose-lipped.
Jill, I've just asked you to grab me a small whiskey and water. It's getting to that time of night, isn't it? So I need a whiskey and water.
I'm going to have a bit of red after this.
It's going to be a long night.
Say thank you to Hezibar. I hope I've got that right. Hezibar Pink for Super Chat, and to Civil. I think it's Civil for their Super Chat. Much appreciated. Just wanted to get that out there. I can't read them, but I can acknowledge them. Right, okay. Is your whiskey coming?
It will be in a minute. Yeah.
Can the moderators please just let people know that are asking questions here, like why I'm unable to answer other questions, please? I've said this a few times. I did a live the other day to get the 50 questions. Otherwise, it's just going to go crazy in here. Please, if you read the description of the video, I have made that clear. And moderators, please, could you just let that be known? You know, we are doing our best.
Anyway, just like to say cheers, everybody. Look, I've even got the engraved SGI glass here, so cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, there you go. It's got an engraved SGI glass. Cheers, Peter. I've only got a coffee this morning. If it would have been an evening video I was doing, I would have shared you in a wee dram. Cheers. Here's to the confirmation of the Sonar images and the reopening of the Nicola Bully case.
I've got water.
Yes, first one I've had for the night anyway, so that's not bad. It is 10 o'clock, well, nearly 10. So.
Hold on 1 second. Right, okay, no, where are we then? Right, 40. Right. Were you concerned about the findings from the inquest?
Oh, look, I don't.
So they're on question 40. And, you know, I don't know why Pete said, oh, this is my first one of the night. He can have one at 6 o'clock if he wants. He's his own person. Nobody's the whiskey police telling him what time he can have a drink or not, or certainly not me. You know, whatever floats your boat.
I can't comment on now Nicola died, and I never will. That's not my job. The problem I have with the inquest is not allowing me to present my evidence. Obviously, and the PC Thackeray video where he said Nicola would have floated down the river and gone over the weir on day one. Impossible.
So that's interesting, isn't it? So he says he's not commenting on how Nicola died. That's not his job. But he's annoyed that he wasn't invited to the inquest, though he did not send his sonar images to the coroner until September. And he's annoyed with PC Thackeray saying that Nicola could have gone over the weir on the first day. And he's saying that's impossible. I think that's impossible as well. I think if Nicola did go into the river, which I'm still not convinced of, but if she did, she would have been right there. And I don't know why she wasn't found on the first day. So this is the crux of it, isn't it, for Peter, I think. It's not really what happened to Nicola or, you know, justice for Nicola. It's his statement against the police's statement. So the police saying she could have gone over the weir on the first day, which doesn't make sense. And him saying that he found her, it was over a week later, wasn't it? So.
Absolutely impossible. And that can be tested at any time. A drowning victim, she would have gone straight to the bottom, or she may have struggled for a few meters, you know, whilst swimming, she's fallen in, she's struggling, and you may go down the river a bit, but then you will go to once you take.
You couldn't swim in that river, you know. Or she may have swam down. I don't think you could swim in that. You know, when we saw PC Thackeray go in there, he was paddling in it. He wasn't swimming in it, not in that bit anyway. So, not really, you know, I can't see that. But, you know, things happen. I'm not an expert, but just I've been there and I've looked down there and seen it. You can see the bottom in that bit anyway, near the bench. Maybe further down it's deeper. You know, still think that's not a river that if you were going to do something to yourself, I don't think that bit is where you would do it, because it's not deep enough. If I was thinking of doing something to myself and just looking down at that, I'd just think, oh God, I'm going to just bang my head there and be lay there like injured. You know, I wouldn't feel that it would, you know, finish me off. I mean, it's not exactly a popular spot for self-deletion, is it? Nobody's ever done it there before. Normally you have places where, if it was self-deletion, normally you have places where, you know, they're common places, aren't they, that people go to often to do it, like Beachy Head or the Erskine Bridge in Scotland. You know, they're notorious for people going and doing it. Well, the River Weir isn't, the River Wyre isn't. So now that makes me feel maybe she was pushed in there. that's a possibility. She could have been pushed in, somebody pushing her in, not realizing then that she would get carried away or whatever. But I still go back to the splash, the absence of a splash. So yeah, was she even ever there? But she was there eventually.
Take your gasps, you go to the bottom, and that's fact. Internationally known fact. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's true. So you go down to the bottom. So why was she not found those first couple of days when, you know, it seemed like the wilderness dog was out, and literally the wilderness dog was out there looking for her, and she was not found. Was she there?
41. How could you tell from the sonar images that the target was female?
Oh, well, it's not as I'm not going to be as brazen as that and say I can tell if someone's a female or a male. She's quite, as you look at the back, it's very curvy on the bottom area and stuff like that. I'm not going to say I can tell a male or a female on a sonar image, but with this one you can see, you know, she's more curvature to it. But I'm not going to go and say I can tell a female on a male, like face.
So if it was so clear, remember what Debbie Davis, the medium, said, you could see the head, the feet, the bottom, you could see everything. He said, did he not show those images, like as soon as he went back and saw these images? When did he actually notice these images? That's what I'd like to know. What was the actual date, you know, the day that he noticed these images? Because remember, he was still saying, you know, he never said to anyone, oh, well, we did have one target, but the police checked that and it was found to be nothing. He never, ever said that, you know. So but I want to know, you know, these bloody sonar images, you sort of end up with this picture in your head. Like, you know, what do they look like? Is it like the bloody, did you ever used to watch The Saint and you'd have the stick man? You know, was it, you feel like drawing a picture like that and saying, oh, here's Nicola. It's until we see the images or get a proper expert opinion on the images, an independent expert opinion on the images, not a paramedic, not two other police officers that he's told, not the psychic that he's told, not the two YouTubers, or somebody else was saying that he's shown quite other YouTubers as well. So where's the expert? You know, how difficult is it to send these images the same way he sent them to the other people, to an expert of his choosing? You know, he's poo-pooed the expert that the police sent them to and said he's not an expert. So why doesn't he send them to an expert he knows? He doesn't have to go to America to do that. You know, there are emails and what they sent all the other people. I mean, what's happened actually, one of the YouTubers that he sent them to is in America. So, you know, I just don't see why we haven't had this confirmation from an expert yet. What's the delay? It takes 2 minutes to send a WhatsApp message.
You can't tell that. That's, you know, I couldn't, unless we're looking for another body in the river, there's something else, obviously, but I'm not going to be that clever and say I can identify a female in the water with someone.
Well, it would be quite the coincidence, wouldn't it?
No, there wouldn't be another body there. I mean, we know that, no. Let's be clear on that.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you would know the answer to this, but again, I'm asking the questions that people have asked. Did the condition of the body, I'm going to rephrase that. No, I've got that right, sorry. Did the condition of the body look how it should for the amount of time that it was in the river? I don't know if you know that.
I really don't want to go into conditions of bodies in water, because this is a family. This is about family, and I don't want to go down that route. And I know nothing about the body recovery, and I really don't want to get into it's not fair. It's not nice to talk about. I'll talk about the search, but I don't really want to talk about all the fine detail and stuff like that. It's not nice seeing dead people. It's not a nice job. So I really don't want to go down that route. So I can't comment on conditions. I can, but I'm not going to. I don't know anything about conditions in this particular case, and I'd be wrong to say that.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough answer, Peter. 43. Were you angry when you weren't allowed to dive the target that you located?
Angry? Was I angry? I suppose not. Angry is probably the wrong word. Well, I wish that the police had identified the target that we gave them. I wouldn't say angry because obviously they're good divers. Police divers are highly trained divers. You know, it's an 8-week course to become a police diver. It's a tough course. So I'm not going to knock the police divers here. Something's gone wrong on this case, clearly. But again, what I will say here, and this is what I stressed to the College of Policing in my letter, underwater search, and it's very easy sitting in a chair at night with a glass of whiskey and talking about underwater. If you imagine yourself being dumped into a tank of black water, you see these things done in the jungle and you think they're bad. Put yourself in a full face underwater in a black environment. You cannot see anything at all. Often murky black water looking for a body. It's not an easy job. So I'm going to give a bit of credit here to police divers. It's not an easy job to do. And even in the college report,
Well, it's not an easy job to do. I mean, it's a horrible job. Oh, God, I've thought that for years. I would hate to do that. The thought of going in water and, you know, looking for dead bodies. But he has shot himself in the foot a little bit, Peter, because he keeps saying he's not criticising the police, but he is criticising the police. He is criticising the police. And that makes me think that even if his images are verified and, you know, it comes out that he was right all along, how is he going to go back to having a relationship with the police when he's, you know, they've dished him? I agree with that, but he's dished them as well. So I don't see how that's ever going to, he's never going to get that relationship back with the police unless, you know, there's a big change. You can't see that the College of Policing are just going to suddenly re-embrace him, can you? But maybe, who knows?
bodies are found by people floating to the surface.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to police bash. I'm not going to knock the police dive team because they're highly trained divers. It's be unfair to do that. It is a particularly difficult.
He's literally just dished PC Thackeray and said that what PC Thackeray said at the inquest was impossible.
Difficult job. We just have better, and I can tell you now, we do have better sonar equipment without a doubt, and that's been confirmed. I do whatever they say.
My sonar is bigger than your sonar. God, I'm sick of the word sonar.
We have far superior, and it's not just about the sonar equipment, it's the experience. I've been doing sonar operations since 1999. I was the first ever to use it forensically, and that can be backed up by Professor Mark Harrison, MBE, who went out to work for the Australian Federal Police after he left here. Highly regarded man in search. He worked on the the Prior de Luz job, you know, and all the big searches in the UK. Mark used to bring me in as a specialist to
the Prior de Luz job. He means Madeleine McCann, but of course she was never found.
Do sonar operation. Alison McGarrigle, all then he would bring me in. Okay, so it's underwater search is extremely difficult and extremely harrowing work when you're literally putting your arm on someone's shoulder underwater in the darkness. You imagine finding a dead body in a dark room on the floor, but you know you're underwater. It's not nice.
No,
so I want to make that very clear. It's not an easy job.
There's not many.
That's right. It's not an easy job, and it's grateful to people like Peter and his team and the police. Don't forget, there is this. Why there's this them and us thing? Something's happened to cause a rift here with Peter and the police, because there was a time that Peter and the police were working well together. And it seems like it wasn't just the Lancashire police. So maybe the foundation of it is this resentment towards him after the dive teams were cancelled, which wasn't Peter's fault. But, you know, people look at things in a different way when it's affected them. They look at Peter's team as being the ones responsible for it, which of course they're not responsible for it. But, you know, I suppose you could imagine that in a job, any job, where you're doing a certain thing and then suddenly they bring in an outside, especially like if you think about nursing, you know, and care work and things like that, they bring in a lot of temps and they get paid a lot better money. You know, my friend's a manager of a care home, or was. She's just she's moved to another job now, but you know, they have to take on a lot of temporary staff. So you've got your base staff that work there, and then when they're short staffed, they bring in people from agencies. And they earn a lot more money and just sort of come in, and you know, so there's resentment then with the staff that are there earning a pittance normally if it's care work, and then the people coming from the temping agency earn a bloody fortune, and there's a lot of resentment. So I suppose it's a bit like that. But of course, it's not the fault of the people that are coming in. Like, it's not Peter's fault if the dive teams have been cancelled or whatever. It's not his fault. But I suppose there's obviously some sort of resentment there.
People that would like to do it. How many experts are you going to be asking to get analysis regards to your sonar images?
I'm going to get 2, possibly 3, but I know as soon as they see the images, they'll be hands down. I mean, I could show, if I showed.
So he says he's going to get 2 or possibly 3 independent verifications of his images. That's what he just said. So just don't know why I hasn't done it already, but okay. If
I took all the audience tonight, I'm not going to do it, but if I showed them all an image, I could guarantee that 98% of them would say, I can see the outline of the body. That's how confident I am.
Well, you can't say it any more confidently than
that,
Peter.
No.
So we are now getting down to...
Now, leave me a note. I'm not even going to comment on that. So he reckons if he shows... I'm doing a Peter now. I'm saying I'm not going to comment on it, and I'm commenting on it. He reckons if he shows the image to the audience, 98% of us will say, oh, yes, that's a body. Well, Debbie said it was very clearly Nicola, didn't she? But the other YouTuber is hanging on, making you wait to say what they think of it, even though they would have decided what they thought of it within sort of 30 seconds probably. So maybe they're having it independently verified, I don't know, but or maybe they're just keeping people dangling to watch the next video. You know, all this waiting. Oh, wait till the next one, wait till the next episode, oh, wait till I do this. Just do it.
The final 5 questions. I've done 51 by accident, so there's an extra one in here. Not a bad thing. Right, something I don't know about this, but someone's asked it. Do you know anything about a search that was done after dark?
No.
Do you know?
No, I mean, look, the thing is, let me make it clear here. There's been a lot of people online speculating about police doing covert searches at night time. Look, it's quite normal to do searches at night time. A couple of years ago, we had a man who fell over the back of a fishing boat when his son was fishing with him, and he drowned. We got called in at 1 in the morning, you know, probably 11 at night till 1 in the morning. We eventually recovered his body. So that we were working through, you know, in the night. It's common for us to work in the night. Diving in rivers is quite common. We dive in the dark. You know, we don't always use torches either. We're just feeling.
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? That'd be a very disagreeable job, wouldn't it? It's bad enough in the daytime, but in the dark, and I don't even like going in the sea, not knowing what's in there. Yeah, and that's what put me off going in the sea. Actually, we had a couple of bodies sort of washed up on the beach, people that had been disposed of in drugs. Well, the presume, you know, I don't know, who knows, but people that were involved in like drugs, gangs and things. And yeah, we had a little spate of bodies washing up on the shore, and that's put me off ever going in the sea. They were all wrapped up and duct taped and everything, but just the thought of it, you know, it's not nice. So thank God somebody does this job. Thank God somebody does it, like Peter, his team, or the police divers. Thank God for that.
feel around, because once you're in a black environment, often a torch isn't much use. So you're literally following a line and just sweeping along with your arm until you touch the person on a jack stay. You're going up and on a grid, sir. So no, it's quite normal. I mean, they got to throw all the resources. And I'm saying they're probably kicking me, but I'm trying to give them a bit of credit here. And say, you know, it's a tough job, and the firefighters do a wonderful job. I mean, the firefighters are all out all night. Greatest respect for the emergency services, paramedics, police, firemen. They're all brilliant. You know, I'm not knocking the cops. I'm not knocking anyone. They're all. I work with these people, and they're great people. But like I said, in any walk of life, there's, as I said, I wrote about, there's the 2% club, as I call them. In any job, what you do, there's 2% of idiots. You know.
Yeah,
and that's across the board.
I've said in the description of the video and at the start, like, this is not a cop bash.
Absolutely, no.
And if people want to do that, then like do it somewhere else, because that's not what this is about. This is about you getting your story across and answering questions. My
preferred route for all of this would be for the Chief Constable of Lancashire to personally invite me up to say, Peter, you know, it's all gone badly wrong here. Look, let's come and have a coffee. Let's all sit round and have a chat. Show us your images. You know, let's make it a friendly meeting. Let's all go up and get round the table and just have a seat. And let's hear your.
So don't forget, this is what Peter wants. It's not about Nicola. It isn't. I'm sorry, with the best will in the world. It's not about solving what happened to Nicola or anything like that. This is all about Peter and the fact he feels like he's had his nose pushed out of joint because, you know, he wants the Chief Constable. Well, you know, is there a God? They're changing, like Chief Constables are, you know, just the Chief Constables and Deputy Chief Constables at Lancashire. Maybe that's why they're being cleared out. Maybe they're going to put a Chief Constable in there that will have a chat with Peter. You know, who knows? Who knows what's going on here? You know, it's your guess is as good. God, you'd like to know what was going on behind the scenes at Lancashire Police. Are these people leaving, or have they been pushed? And of course, poor Peter Lawson, he died probably with the stress of it all. So I can't see that Lancashire Police are ever going to invite him up for a coffee. But you know what? They might they? Because they're changing. They're changing their guard, if you like. So will they?
Or point of view, but no one's done that. So I feel like the enemy. And it's a bit like, you know, you just don't want to work like that. It's a bit like if you imagine yourself being pulled over by a police officer and he gets out there, oi, you, out the car. You know, whoa, hang on, you're straight up, aren't you? But if someone says, excuse me, sir, you know, would you mind stepping out the car? I just would like to search your boot or whatever. You go, yeah, sure, no problem at all. I've got no issues with that.
Yeah.
But it's how you approach people. And we've always, you know, even when the years ago digging protesters out, you always approach them in a nice manner. You smile, because if you smile and you're friendly, you get a far better. It's like a
yeah. Now this was another thing about Peter that was a bit, because you know he does protest removal, and he'd helped to remove the protesters from the Huntingdon Life Sciences, the horrible, you know, animal. Where the beagles were abused terribly, probably still are. And Peter had that up on his website as a badge of honour that he'd helped in that protest removal. And then when it came out and was talked about, he's removed that. This is another thing that I don't like this manipulation. He was proud of it at one point because it was there on his website, and now it's been removed, as if it was never existed. Bit like this video.
A traffic warden slapping a ticket on. If you get a double yellow line, then it's your own problem. But if they're friendly about it, you can actually go, yeah, fair cop, you got me. Just be nice. Just be nice to people. You know, just too much.
It's a good way to live your life, isn't it? Be nice to people.
And I find that with animals, that's why animals relax me, because you can trust animals
and
they make you happy, you know. So
yeah, that's true.
You know, there you go.
Yeah,
they're beagles.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's a fair point. Right. Do you know? I don't know if you know the answer, but again, this is why we ask the questions. Do you know how many divers went in to search the target that you gave?
So let me explain. Under health and safety, so we're commercial divers, okay? And when you dive, you only have one diver in the water. It's against the rules to have two in there. So you have one diver, and you have a diver on the bank as what they call a standby diver. So the standby will have his or her fins on. We got a lady diver. You will have all your kit on, your hood on, apart from your mask, okay? And if the diver gets tangled up underwater, the standby will, that they call crash the standby. The diver will follow the line down and come and assist you underwater. So the diver who dived the target, always, if you recover a body, you are on your own. You are down there on your own. There's no one with you. And that's what I'm saying. Underwater search, and credit to the police diver, it's a very difficult job. It's not nice. You are on your own with a dead person in the water, in the dark.
That's pretty heavy, that.
Yeah, it is. Okay, it is.
So, it's one diver that went in then.
One diver, yeah.
Okay.
Always.
Right, we're getting down to the final 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 5. How far will you take your findings until they are proven to be right?
Well, I've already told you we are writing to the Home Secretary with the evidence in the new year, not this side of Christmas. There's too much going on at the moment. I mean, this has consumed my life for months, and it's driven me mad the way I've been treated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but why hasn't he already written to them? This, you know, this is my thing. So as soon as he was treated badly, he could have written to them. Then it worked. You know, by the time he's done this interview, it was around about Christmas time, wasn't it? Was coming up to Christmas, but he knew ages before. So I don't know why he didn't write to him immediately when that College of Policing review came out.
And all I wanted to do is do a job, and I I've been battered, I've been, trashed, I've been discredited for no reason, for a guy who's just done good for this country. Never get a thank you.
I don't totally backfired.
I don't want to thank you. All I want is, I just want truth for the family, really, and I want.
Yeah, I don't think that's true, Peter. You don't want truth for the family. You want truth for you. You want it to be sorted for you. Why are the family not in touch with him anymore? What has gone on there? Why did they cut him off? Was he manipulated? You know, who knows? But yeah.
People to admit their wrongs. Simple. Like I would. If that was me and if SGI got it wrong, then I go, hands up. I'm sorry, everybody. And people respect that. But don't cover the truth up. Don't cover up that you've thoroughly looked at the images when you haven't. I mean, I think the Home Secretary would be interested in this, to find out that his review team have not reviewed the data properly.
Do you see how this doesn't really make sense? I mean, he's saying the police haven't reviewed the data properly. But he's never, he didn't review it for a long time. He's not mentioned it for ages. So anyway, well, we're waiting. He said in the new year, as I'm making this video, it's the 16th of January. It's still the new year. It's the new year for another 12 months. So, we'll see.
And then I was talking to the police officer yesterday, ex-police officer, senior police officer yesterday, and he said, this is unbelievable. You've got to bring this out. This is not right, because it's tarring all the police around the UK as shoddy. And they're not shoddy.
Most of them do a very professional job.
Police officers go to work, they take some real flack. I wouldn't want to do it. Bottles thrown out and punched in the face on a Friday night, and they all getting tarnished with the same brush all the time by leaders who are getting it wrong. We need some good leaders. We need leaders. I lead my team at work, and I will go with them on a job. I will lead from the front. That's why I was in the water that day, on the Sonar. It was freezing cold, and we were working to do our job. Lead from the front, be there on the scene. Go and meet the people, drink coffee with them, make them coffee. And it's really important for team
He's got a real problem with his eye, isn't it? I hope his eye is okay. He can't leave his eye alone. But so yeah, lead from the front. There he was in the boat. So is he normally in the boat, or does he just supervise from the shore? I wonder.
Bonding. People need to work as a team, and a lot of jobs they go on, you never see half the time senior people coming down. It's sad, really, because they want a bit of support. The troops on the ground, the guys and the girls, want some support sometimes. You know.
Yeah. Okay, so this one has been asked by a few people in various different kind of ways. Slightly loaded, but I'm sure you'll understand. So, in hindsight, do you wish that you'd worded things differently when you stated? This is after the 19th of February, by the way. Okay.
Oh right. Okay.
Let me finish the question, right? So, in hindsight, do you wish you worded things differently when you stated you had since reviewed the sonar and Nicola was not there, to later say, upon review of the same data, that she was there?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. That's, I think, most of us question, because he did say, not only at the time, but many times afterwards, that he had reviewed the data. He said that in the James English interview that he did. He specifically said he had reviewed the data and there was no sign of Nicola.
Okay. A good question. So let me think. Let me explain. Right. There's two parts to this river. There's the non-tidal section above the weir. That's where the bench was. Non-tidal with, and those who didn't join me earlier, so you got when you go to the seaside, every 6 hours the tide goes in, it goes out. Excuse me, depending on the moon states and times. So in the section where Nicola went missing, it was non-tidal, so it was hardly moving. It's just a river gently flowing down the river very slowly. I threw the stick in, it didn't move, and it goes over the weir. Then it goes into the tidal section where Nicola was eventually found. So when Nicola was found, obviously I was in for a lot of flack. So on my way home, I was getting the media call me, and then I was getting beaten up in the media saying, you said this, you said that. Now, again, what I did, I looked at I said to my wife, she can't be in that river, because I searched that and she wasn't there. And I went back through all the data in the lower part of the river, the tidal section of the river where she was found.
Eventually.
Eventually found between the weir and Cartford Bridge, and there was nothing there. And I reviewed it there's not even a target. There's nothing to see. It was clear. It was crystal. And when we went down to I want to make this clear. When we got down to Cartford Bridge, we had to get out the boat because it was so shallow, because the tide went out. So any body in there would have been found weeks ago, because honestly, the search teams on the banks at the time, and when the tide drops, it literally goes down to pebbles. And that's been clarified by loads of people, because they said how shallow the river is. And I said,
Yes. Now let's listen to this, what he says, because how's he going to now say? What's he going to say now that then he'd never looked before at the other sonar again, but he decided, oh yes, let me just check the bit by the bench, and there she was.
She's not in that part of the river. I've checked. Obviously, in the reeds, we can't search the reeds anyway. That's not our job, because I'm looking at a sonar. But she definitely wasn't on the bottom of the river. She wouldn't have been in the reeds, because she would have been found by the search teams, and the sniffer dogs would have picked the scent up. And believe me, a decomposing body would definitely be picked up by a human very quickly. So that's what I mean by she wasn't in the river after the 9th.
So do you think he's answered that question? I don't think so. So when did he find this clear target? And, don't forget, when he went there, it was over a week that she'd been missing. So if, as the coroner said, she had fallen into the river on that day, she would, sorry to be graphic, but she would have been decomposing by then after a week. So the dogs would have been, I just don't believe she was in the river. That's nobody has shown me or said anything that makes me feel that she was there. Let's see what he goes on to say.
When the body was found. That is the fact.
So when you said that you've reviewed the sonar,
yes,
are you referring to the location of where she was found on the 19th?
Yes, the lower part of the river. I reviewed because I said I knew from the police divers. They said she wasn't in the top half. With our target was negative. There was no other targets there, so they said our target was negative up the top.
Yeah,
and then I said to my wife, "There's no way she was in the bottom."
But Luke is asking him, when did he review the sonar of the bit where he says she was? So that's what he's asking. Let's see if he actually gets around to answering that. Luke's not Luke is trying to pin him down, to be fair, to when did he check the sonar that resulted in this image now that he's saying was her.
That river. And at that stage, I thought she had been potentially dumped back in. That's what I thought. Because it was right. So yeah, it was right by a wall, and I'm talking about deposition sites. And
yeah, and he did say this. This is a reminder. He did say this. He made the comment about the deposition site because it was near a wall. It was somewhere that she could have been put in. So he did say that. So come on, when did you actually find the image that you're now saying is Nicola, Peter? Are you going to answer that? I can't remember if he answered it or not.
And it was the perfect deposition site where you could be lifted out of a vehicle, thrown over the wall, and then into the river. Perfect place. That's then. That hasn't happened. I want to make that clear. But that's what I thought at the time, because the police divers dived their target. They said there's nothing here. Then I went, I mean, you imagine the flack that I took. I remember going on the Nick Ferrari show and I had to defend myself. And Nick said, Mr. Faulding, are you going to apologise to the... And I've been on Nick's show. Like, I've got greatest respect for Nick. I mean, he's doing his job. And he said, are you going to apologise to the family now? I said, no, I'm not, because I haven't done anything wrong. I've done nothing wrong. All I've done is try to help a poor family. That's all I've...
But he still hasn't said yet, Peter, when you saw the images that have resulted in what you're saying now.
I've tried to do, like I've done so many times. So... No, and then I got beaten up on another program, but on GB News. But then Eamon Holmes actually defended me. He said, this is all about a missing lady. I said, yes, it is. And he was brilliant. Eamon was. But yeah, it's just like about doing the job, isn't it?
I think the thing is, there's a lot of women, because Nicola was a woman, and, I think women are perhaps, I don't know, a lot of women think Peter's great as well. Maybe I'm wrong. But that GB News interview that he's talking about, the woman, is it Isabel, is she called, or something, that presents with Eamon, she was quite scathing towards him. A few of the female interviewers were. She was quite scathing towards him, like not scathing, but just saying, are you going to admit now that? And he's like, no, he wouldn't admit he was wrong. And Eamon did defend him a little bit because Eamon's in that boys' club. But I think a lot of women were like a little bit sort of perhaps felt it more personally. When you're a woman, but someone once on one of my comments said to me, oh, why don't you talk about men in rivers? The thing is, I am a woman, so obviously I'm bound to gravitate towards stories about women in rivers more. That's just human nature. And I do report on men going missing as well. But this, you feel an affinity more to, people who are like you, I suppose. That's just human nature. I hold my hands up for that. Maybe, it's up to some male YouTubers to maybe concentrate on men more. I don't know, just putting that out there. But, I do try to. I have reported on males who've disappeared or been found in rivers, etc., quite often. So don't always just report on women. But there is, when you hear, especially if it's a woman, around your own age or with similar, a woman you can relate to, that's just human nature. You're going to relate to people that are like you. But yeah, she did give him a hard time, that interviewer, and he didn't like it, obviously, for him to be mentioning it on here. So he still hasn't answered, though, when he first saw these sonar images or first reviewed and found the target.
Yeah. Yeah. Top guy, Eamon Holmes.
He is. I've met a really lovely man. Really lovely man.
Stand up geezer.
He is. Yeah.
Right, 3 to go.
So he hasn't answered that, and that he should have qualified that. Luke asked him, tried to pin him down to what the questions that people had asked, which is when did you first notice this target when you reviewed your data? And Peter hasn't answered that at all.
Would cold water shock cause heart damage?
Right. Firstly, I'm not a doctor, but look, let's put it this way. I'm as you know, I fly my own helicopter. I'm a commercial diver. I have 2 medicals a year. Now, when I went to have my, it was quite funny. I went to have my aviation medical with David Talent, who's in Hawley, and I went down there, and I was busting for a wee at the time, desperate, and I went in the medical, and I had to pee in a pot, and then I held it back because they had to have me in there. And I laid on the bed, and he'd done my blood pressure, and he said, your blood pressure's a bit high. He said it's 170 over 90. I said, okay. He said, I can't pass you on that. I said, do you know what, David? Doc, I need to have a wee. I'm busted. He said, well, okay, then go and have a wee. So I went down. I drained my bladder. I came back, and he redone it, and it was 138 over 90.
It does make me laugh, Peter, because he goes into all these details. I think later, I don't know if we'll get to it in this one, but later it does say that's the longest wee in history. So it's quite funny. It makes him human. Sorry. Just stupid appeals to my sense of humour. It makes me chuckle.
It dropped. It was just because the pressure in my bladder was putting my blood pressure up, So, hang on, where are we? Well, we're medical. Go on. I went off on a tangent then. Go on. It was...
Yeah, well, this is it because the whiskey's kicking in now. Luke isn't listening to him, to be honest, it looks like. But maybe Peter's really enjoying himself now. Now the whiskey's kicking in.
Quite funny. What was the question? Sorry.
Stop drinking. Put your whiskey down.
No, I'm fine. It's weak. It's only water. Go on. There's only
would cold water shock cause heart damage?
Right. So no, and that's what I was getting on to. So David said to me that in the he was an RAF doctor, and he said in the RAF we dunked a guy in an ice tank, and he said his blood pressure hit 400, and it was like boom. I said, did it kill him? He said, no, it's fine. Of course it didn't. So you see the Marines doing the cold dunk when they do the Arctic trains, documentary.
Oh, yeah, listen, but Nicola died within 10 seconds in the River Weir, So, tells you a lot, doesn't it?
On TV, really good one at the moment about the Royal Marines selection. Really good. They jump into ice cold water with a lifeline on, and they have to climb out. It doesn't kill them. So cold water shock, what cold water shock does, and what we find most drowning victims, in the summer, they run and jump into the water, showing off in front of girls, what most people do. We've all done it. And then they swim out as fast as they can, about 100 meters. And what they don't realise, the water's really cold. They haven't noticed how cold it is. And then they get cold. Then the muscles start to freeze up. Yeah? The muscles then start to get frozen. That's cold water shock. So the ability to move your muscles is restricted. That's when you drown.
So basically, he's totally saying that what they said at the inquest is not true, because they said it happened within 10 seconds. What he's saying is that people swim out and it gradually pervades into them, isn't he? That's what cold water shock is, according to Peter, which is completely at odds at what the experts said at the inquest when they said that Nicola would have literally died in 10 seconds. It's just another example how everything's just skew-if, isn't it, with this? Nothing adds up. He's saying one thing, they're saying another. And I'm not criticising Peter for that. I'm just saying he's making his assertion, the inquest saying something else. That's why nobody is happy with none of the assertions seem to make sense, or they're all disproved so quickly, And of course, it's coming up to the anniversary of when Nicola did disappear on the 27th of January. And somebody was asking me if I'm going to do a live stream. I don't even know what I'm going to do something on that day, but I'm just not sure what, because I can't go through all this timeline thing. You know, you get people are always on Twitter daily, you know, bickering about a minute here and a minute there, and did this happen? What difference does it make? It just won't get anywhere. It just confuses everything. So I may look at that. That might be the day that I look at the conclusions of the police report and what they say the timeline was. Whatever timeline I talk about, somebody will come on and say, oh, well, here it said this or that. You know, there's so much dispute about the timeline. It's just a load of rubbish as far as I'm concerned. Nobody can prove any different. Just talk about it. You can talk about it till you're blue in the face. Nobody can prove anything different about the timeline. So yeah, maybe I'll do that. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do on the 27th, but I will be doing something.
It doesn't stop
because you can't physically swim anymore.
And that's come from all the experts, you know, like the RNLI and everything like that, who do the Royal Lifesavers Association and doctors. They don't suddenly jump in water and die of a heart attack. They drowned. But it's the inability to move, Luke. That's the problem.
So they don't just suddenly jump in the water and drown, he said. But that's exactly what they said happened at the inquest. Exactly. Though they say she fell in accidentally.
Right, we've got 2 questions. I'm then going to run for a call of nature, and then we will see where we're at in regards to the timeline, how much time we've got, whether you want to go into it. We'll do all that. So 50 or 51, because somehow it's become 51, but which is not a bad thing. I don't know if this has been answered, but let's fire it out anyway. Should this case be looked at again?
Well, I did answer it earlier, and I think
you did.
Look. Let's be fair here. The whole case does it. That we can all try and beat up Lancashire Police. We can all try and beat up everybody. That not everyone's bad. Look, the amount of money an inquiry costs. You imagine like the Grenfell Tower public inquiry.
So yeah, I didn't like this when he said this. So is he saying there shouldn't have been an inquiry for the Grenfell fire disaster, which was foul? What happened to those people trapped? You know, some of the things that I read. You know, people trapped in their homes and messaging desperately for help, and then finally not getting any. I mean, I actually am getting upset thinking about it, because people and their pets. And is he saying that they shouldn't have paid? It shouldn't be an inquiry? I don't know why he's bringing that. Oh, look how much the Grenfell inquiry cost. Yeah, whatever it cost. If it cost twice that, if it cost fucking 40 times that, there should be an inquiry. So what he's saying here, this is something that I really didn't like that Pete said. It was like, no, they shouldn't, because it costs too much money. Like, no, I want my jobs. I want my reputation back. I want my jobs from the police because I want the money. But no, don't spend the money on another inquiry. So this is not a good thing that Peter said, definitely.
How much a barrister cost. Look at the Manchester Arena bombing, how much that inquiries cost. It's all about public inquiries. This is not in the public interest to have a full inquiry into this.
It's not in the public interest. It's not. So all those people who now can't, all those women who are now terrified to go and walk their dogs near rivers because they don't know exactly what happened. It's not in the public interest. It's not in Peter's interest, obviously. This does make me really angry. Not in the public interest. So he doesn't care about whether what happened to Nicola, you know, about finding out exactly what happened to her. He just cares that his reputation is, you know, put right. It's all about Peter. Now, this is where sometimes I agree with him, but sometimes he just shows his true colours. I don't like it.
Because that money could go to the NHS or someone else. But where we badly need it. What we need is some honest truth here to look at the data and go,
oh, it could go to the NHS or somewhere where we badly need it. So not to Nicola, because we don't badly need that, and it's not in the public interest, but what we need is, let's hear what we need. What do we need, Peter?
do you know what? We got it wrong. That's all. We got it wrong. But what we're going to do is move forward, and we're going to improve the way we search for people in water, where you bring the right expertise, the right equipment in, and like we've been so many jobs. You just turn up. I mean, Surrey Fire call us in, Surrey Fire and Rescue call one after the other in the summertime. I get my pager goes off at normally 7 in the evening. Beep beep. Team go in, pick the dive trucks up, person in water. You get there, they're dead. Load and rescue are there, police are there, firefighters are there. We put our sonar out in the water, and literally within 10 minutes I found them. I then put my dive team in, or my colleague Nathan will be on the sonar, put the diver in, and they're recovered within the hour. Always the way. If we get called,
so it's totally gone off that subject again. He's just talking about how brilliant they are. So note that. Those of you, I know there's a lot of you out there that think Peter Faulding is the best thing since sliced bread, but please note what he just said, not what I said. He doesn't think there should be an inquiry. It would cost too much money. All what he wants is just searches to be improved. In other words, that he gets called in his team. So he's not here for Nicola. He's not doing this for Nicola. He's doing it for himself. I think it's very important that you remember that. Whatever you think of Peter, and if you're okay with that and you square with that, but you still think he's like some sort of saint or God, then fine, because I'm not telling you what to think. I'm just saying, take note of what he said. He does not want another inquiry. That is from his words, his mouth, not mine. Whereas I personally would love another inquiry.
2 weeks after I was asked to look at a job in Poland last week for a missing man. It's high profile at the moment. And I said, what's the guarantees in the river? And when did he go missing? Went missing in May. I said, no chance. He's probably gone a long way away. Probably gone miles down the river. So you just got to be honest, and you just got to bring the best equipment, the best resources. And this is all about working as a team. This is not about trying to annihilate people like me, trying to discredit me and trying to be.
But you're trying to discredit the police.
What you're doing here? Why is Faulding here? No, it's about Peter's coming along. SGI are here. We're working with them as a team to try and bring closure to this family. That's all we're trying to do, Luke. Trying to bring closure. This is not about egos or police forces are better than us or we're better than them. We ain't about that. Because I said, not.
He said before it was about egos. Now he's saying it wasn't. What he's saying is it's not about his ego. No, it's everybody else's ego, but not him. No.
Once have I tried to hammer the police during all my interviews I've done. I haven't. I've always spoken with greatest respect for the police officers. And I will continue to do that because I said I had a friend round last week to dinner who's a police officer, and his wife and kids. So
So you've got relationships with a lot of police.
Of course I have. I've been doing this so long. I had dinner a week and a half ago with a very senior police officer in London. I'm well connected with very, very senior people in the country that people wouldn't believe.
He's very well connected with very, very senior people in the country that people would not believe.
Many good friends in very high places who actually back me all the way and are encouraging me to do what I'm doing today. Believe me, because they want.
So it'd be interesting to see what happens now that he's sent. Well, if he has, he said he was going to send off everything to the Prime Minister, etc., in the new year. Now, whether he's already done it or not, I don't know. He keeps saying he's going to do it. He hasn't actually said anywhere I've seen that he has done it. So these fantastic connections that he's got that we wouldn't believe. Let's see what happens.
They want this rubbish sorted out because it can't go on happening. It can't go on happening.
We're nearly at 1,000 likes on this video. Some really nice comments. The best live I've ever seen is one that I've just noticed, which is I appreciate that.
Sorry.
Very much. We're at question 51 of 50. Work that out.
Go on. I don't know.
Right. When you initially showed the target and then they came back to you,
Yeah.
did they say what the shadows / images were? What did they say the images were?
Right. Hang on a minute. So who are we talking about now?
So when you located the target on the 7th,
yes,
and you told the search teams,
all right, what I done?
What did they say it was you'd found?
No, what I did, I got the target at 10:34 that day on the 7th. I then I asked my team, again, the media would have seen it because we turned our boat around, and I said, go, Ollie was on the helm, Chris was on the towfish holding the cable. I said, big target here, right? Get a bit closer, Ollie, do a figure of 8, go around and let's get some more, images. And we got the other images, and then at 10:53, I WhatsApped it to the police search advisor, and then called him as protocol, always do.
Yeah.
Not breaking any rules, not giving any information. I want to make this very clear. I never gave any operational information to the media at all. Okay. And then I said we should put a diver in. We can dive it now, and he said no, you're not to dive. We'll bring our team in. They're far on another.
Which is fair enough because he is a civilian. He wasn't brought in as a police thing. But now Luke has asked him again a very specific question. What did the police tell you the target was when they checked it? Let's see if he does get round to an answer.
The task, which I believe they were down near the estuary, and they got there around probably 1 o'clock or whatever, and then they dived the target, and then that was it. I gave them the target and they dived it.
But Luke has asked, what did they tell you was there?
But I didn't watch the dive, but one of my divers watched the dive, one of my team, because he was land crew. There was 3 of us on the boat.
Okay, now he's saying he didn't watch the dive. I personally would have watched the dive. I mean, I know he was trying to distract the media, like you're saying, they were going on the boat so that the media didn't realise they were, targeting a specific spot. But his team could have done that. I would have been, there's no way I wouldn't have been there to watch the dive. You found what you think might be a target that's supposedly so clear. I mean, surely if it was so clear, couldn't he see it on that sonar image as clear as, what's he done to it since then that's made it clearer than it was on that original thing that he saw as he was, going up and down? There's no way I would not have been there to see that dive.
And he said it was a very quick dive. It wasn't even a jackstay search. It was very quick. So normally you would put a jackstay across the river, or you would do a number of arc searches within the area, but they didn't do a number of arc searches. They were very, very quick to dive. So you need to understand that the GPS fix on the computer is your global positioning. Bearing in mind I'm a pilot, so I do understand GPS, plus or minus 6 meters. And then you've got the towfish, which is on the end of the cables, this big missile, and you can always tell a good sonar system because you've got a big missile in the water. Yeah. That's hanging at the back of the boat, and then that's hanging in the water, and then that sends the signal out. So the GPS is here at the front, but the towfish is at the back. So the location.
Another thing I just wanted to say, some people said, the police didn't want to find Nicola. Of course they wanted to find Nicola because they had said she was in the river all the time and that they would have loved to have found her. And then people said, they didn't want Peter Faulding to find her. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that the police would deliberately have, dove down and not checked properly. I don't believe it, in my opinion. Some people believe that, and that's fine. That's your opinion. But in my opinion, I think the police, if they could have found her, they would have wanted to find her because they wanted to prove that their working hypothesis was correct. And it wouldn't matter if it had showed up first on Peter's sonar. They dove down to get her, and or to see if it was her. And I think if it was her, they would have found her. But, you know, I don't think we'll ever know, will we? We'll never know unless we see these sonar images or some sonar expert verifies them. How will we ever know? What is this smoke screen that's going on? It's deflecting from what actually happened to her.
We're getting is actually at the front of the boat, 1.5 to 2 meters in front. If it's deep water, the layback might be 10 meters of the cable. We might have 10 meters of cable out. It's all about trigonometry, 22/7. You know, so you've got to work out the depth of the water, and it's quite technical. But this is so shallow, we haven't got a deep towfish. So you're looking at really a 14-meter diameter to search. Realistically, to do right the way round to clarify a target, about 14 meters. So that's what we train. That's why we train all the time. So when I give my team a target, or Nathan gives them a target, they know that they've got to search within sort of 10 to 14 meters either side. Right the way round. It's a big area, and that's when it's found.
So basically, what he's saying is. They didn't look properly. He hasn't actually asked the question, which was, what did the police tell you it was?
So yeah, I get all that. I might have missed within that answer because I was just looking at a couple of other things at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and that when they first came back to tell you what the target was, did they say then it was nothing, or it was branch?
Yeah. So Luke, well done, Luke. He's trying to pin him down.
Jeez. No, there's nothing. No, they
said it was nothing on the 7th.
Yeah, it was nothing. That's what baffled me, because.
So what accounts for the shadows and what
well, nothing exactly. Look. Let me make it clear to your audience, and I really appreciate everyone listening to me. I'm not a liar. I'm not here for publicity. If I was here for publicity, I would have gone to a national newspaper and sold the images. I don't work like that. I don't need the money. I don't need the publicity. This is about the truth to come out for a damn good organisation who do a great job for many families around the UK and police forces around the UK. And we've sold lots.
Well, that's maybe true. He doesn't need the money, but and he could have sold the images to a national newspaper, but he's still got to have them verified, Peter.
Of crimes that have gone unsolved, okay? Let me make that very clear. We're very credible. I'm not some guy who's just come out the blue and started this. Do some background on me. Trouble is, whenever you Google me now, there's thousands of pages of Nicola Bully before you get to the other stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of my work back in '99, for all those youngsters here, there was no internet then. So a lot of the stuff like Tobin, Alison McGarrigle would appear in a paper. But
yeah, a lot of the cases that he talks about, they are from quite a long time ago.
Because again, we never spoke to the media that we might not be named that we were on the job. Like Tobin, people didn't even know that I was on the Tobin case until in the last few years when I've done podcasts about it with detectives and crime programs, because they never thought that we searched the house, and we did. So yeah, there's lots of things here, but hopefully we can move forward.
That's 50 questions, Peter.
Okay.
So I am just going to, again, and when I nip to the toilet, I mean, maybe tell people what you're doing for Christmas. You doing anything special? What you having? Are you having a turkey? You having beef? What you having?
Okay, so I'm going to break there as well. Well, finish that video there. We're nearly there. There's still 45 minutes left of this question and answer live. I hope you're finding it illuminating. It's good to look back over it again and hear Peter's answers, some of which I agree with him, and other things, as you can see, infuriate me, but and I'm entitled to my opinion just like anybody else. So I don't want to dish. I think Peter's done a lot of good things, but there are some things that I don't like. And as you know, it's this about not wanting another investigation. But anyway, we'll look at that in the next video, see if he goes on to say any more, because obviously this was a long time ago. I haven't watched this for a couple of months, same as you probably, and so it's illuminating to go through it again. So until I see you again, remember to live and love wisely and carefully. And until then, let me just stop sharing. I like to say goodbye, without sharing anything else. So yeah, remember to live and love wisely, carefully. Look after you pamper yourself. You are the most important person. And I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.